Class, thank you for your attendance here today. We are in the process of going through the gospel accounts, looking at the putting them in a chronological order. And as we pointed out last week, that there is um, a period of time here we refer to as the Judean ministry of Jesus that mostly is covered by John. There are a couple of instances where also only Luke takes care of what is being recorded at that period of time. So right now we are looking at a period of time that only John covers. So if you'd have a Bible, you might want to open it up to John chapter 7. John chapter uh, prayer. Father and God in heaven, we thank you so much for the blessings of life. We thank you for the opportunity we have this day to study your word together. We pray that you will be with us, be with the classes that are going on. Help us all to learn of your will and apply it to our daily lives. Forgive us where we go wrong. In the name of your Son, we do pray. Amen. Again, let me, for the sake of those who are watching this live stream, we have had some issues with the Wi-Fi just sort of cutting out. We noticed it happened again one time this morning. So if we just cut out streaming, you'll know that the issue hasn't been totally resolved yet. So we will notify Spectrum that it was out again this morning, and hopefully we can get that fixed. They replaced everything. They replaced new modem, new cable in our building, new cable outside. So we're still trying to figure out what is going on. So bear with us a little bit in that regard. John chapter 7, we see that Jesus has come to Jerusalem, the Judean area, at a time when what we refer to as the Judean ministry of Jesus spends quite a bit of time in Judea at this period of time. He will return back to Galilee for a short period of time, and then he will make one more trip to Jerusalem at the final week of his life here on the earth. So we are right now in the Judean ministry period. He has been teaching. People are now really questioning as to who this person is. Is he, and again, these questions we were looking at last week, is he the prophet? That is the prophet that Moses talked about in Deuteronomy 18, that there was a prophet like Moses that was coming. And whenever that prophet comes, then the people were to listen to the prophet. Is he the Messiah? A second question was asked. Is he the prophet? Is he the Messiah or Christ? And again, this was the anointed one that was to come. And everyone, again, had the right idea, but again, the idea was you couldn't correlate this. Not enough information in the Old Testament. Is the Messiah also going to be the king of this new kingdom that was going to be established by God? So they are now asking the question, who is this person? And how does he relate to us? So the Pharisees send a group of soldiers. These would have been part of the Levitical guard. They were responsible for things around the temple, protecting the temple, and so on. These were sent to seize Jesus. Now, again, we made a comment about that. They didn't go to arrest Jesus. And whenever you're ready to arrest someone, you have to have charges. They didn't really have charges against Jesus. They just wanted him to stop preaching. So they were told to seize Jesus to bring him before the Sanhedrin. As we now examine this idea, we are in John chapter 7, looking at verses primarily 32 through 52. We've got through about half of this. We're going to pick up where we left off. Again, we left off last week with some people saying, certainly this was or is the prophet that Moses was talking about. And others were saying this is the Christ. Still others were saying, surely this Christ, the Christ is not going to come from Galilee, is he? Well, that's where we left off, because now that becomes an interesting question. In the Old Testament, remember, during the birth of Jesus, or shortly after the birth of Jesus, we have these astrologists, we call them wise men, usually we're referring to the wise men that come to see the baby Jesus. Remember, they stopped in Jerusalem because the star disappeared whenever they got to Jerusalem. They go into Jerusalem and ask questions. Where is the king supposed to be born? And Herod, of course, is upset about this idea, but he sends these Jewish scholars, and they look and they find out the passage in the Old Testament says he's going to be born in Bethlehem. So Herod tells these wise men what he has found out, and then gives a message, whenever you're coming back through, let me know if you found him or what you found out about him. Of course, Herod wants the baby dead. So in this, we see that there is a prophecy stating where Jesus was going to be born. Where was that? Bethlehem. Bethlehem is not in Galilee. All right, now we have to understand that. Bethlehem is in Judea. And everybody thinks the Messiah when he comes, is going to come from Judea. Where did Jesus come from? Galilee. At least that's what the primary thinking is. They don't know that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but that's not important. The important thing is, it makes no difference where the Messiah comes from, but their thinking is he could not come from Galilee. Some other place, maybe in Judea, but not from Galilee. Galilee is just not that educated an area that you would think somebody of great importance would come from this particular region. So this is why they're bringing up this question. Doesn't Jesus come from Galilee? And Christ is not going to be coming from Galilee, the Messiah. Has not the scripture said that the Christ comes from the offspring of David and from Bethlehem, the village where David was? Again, the same scripture that was used during the time of the wise men is now being used here. Where is the Christ child going to be born? It would be Bethlehem. Again, they don't understand Jesus was born in Bethlehem. They think he was born and raised in Nazareth, where he grew up in Galilee. So there arose a division in the multitude because of him. And some of them wanted to seize him, but no one laid hands on him. The officers therefore came to the chief priests and Pharisees, and they said to them, why did you not bring him? Now again, referring to the statement that's made here, they were sent to seize him. All you had to do was just go up to him, tell him, come with us, and bring him before us. You're not going to arrest him, you're just going to seize him. Why didn't you bring him? This is puzzling. They had, we have this expression, you only had one job to do, and you didn't do it. You were supposed to bring him here, and you didn't do your job. Why not? All right. The officers answered, never did a man speak the way this man speaks. All right, now, we have seen this now on several occasions. Uh, there are certain speakers that just hold your attention. They start speaking. They can carry the conversation. They hold on to your attention. Jesus must have been this kind of a teacher, because everybody just holds him in the highest regard as to what he is saying to them. Remember, at the conclusion of the Sermon on the Mount, it was the statement by the general population that, this man speaks differently than the scribes and the Pharisees. This man speaks as if he knows what he's talking about. He speaks as if he is the authority on this subject. And again, this is partly the reason why the Pharisees and the scribes and the chief priests are angry with Jesus, because they're jealous. If a man can hold this kind of attention, they are jealous of this. And they're going to try to stop him. They're going to belittle him. They're going to accuse him of being evil. All these things they try doing. And Jesus continues to preach. What did the Pharisees say in verse 47? The Pharisees therefore answered him, "You have not also been led astray, have you?" All right, now, that is, let me explain a little bit about the idea of debating or argumentation. Whenever you are truly interested in debating a particular issue, you have to clearly state what the issue is. We might, and there have been debates on the subject, is baptism necessary for the remission of sins? All right, now there is a very specific statement, and now you gather your evidence, whether for or against the subject, and then you present that evidence. But you can't start with a conclusion and then say anybody else has a different opinion is wrong. I just read an article on this, and it's really an interesting article that deals with the younger generation. Whenever we were growing up, if you had a position, a point you had to make, then you had to bring forth the evidence. We don't see that happening today. We see people making a statement, and anybody who disagrees with that statement is wrong. You don't have to debate the issue. You don't have to have evidence to prove your position. All you have to do is state your opinion, and that opinion becomes the truth. That becomes the standard by which you begin the argument. This is the correct position. In true debating, you can call it argumentation or debating. It is not true debating is not a bad thing. I was having a discussion with a neighbor one time, and the neighbor's wife sort of got upset. She said, "You guys shouldn't be arguing about the Bible." No, we ought to be arguing about the Bible, defending what the Bible has to say. How else is truth going to be relevant? If it's not, then we are going to be the same situation that the period of the judges kept making the same statement, that is, every man did that which was right in his own eyes. You see, that's the very, very position that the world seems to take today. My position is the correct position. Well, can't we debate that? No, my position is the correct position. And if you disagree with me, then you're wrong. That's no place to begin a debate. State your position. State your position. I don't care what debate might be going on at any given period of time. It may be the discussion of abortion. It may be a discussion of, the Palestinian Israel debate. I hate to call it debate because there's no debate going on. It's just people stating their opinion. and you see these confrontations on the street. My position is right, and the same group over here, another group over here saying, my position is right. And they're throwing barbs at each other. You people are stupid over there. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, you're just as stupid if you're doing this, using the same time of argumentation. State your position. What is your position? And when you state your position and you have the facts to back it up, that is true argumentation. But to state a position, now notice what the Pharisees have done here. They've already stated the position. What is the position? We don't know who Jesus is, but we know he has not come from God. That's the position. He has not come from God. And therefore, we have to stop him. These Pharisees sent these soldiers out to seize Jesus. They came back with a statement, never man has been speaking like this man. His argumentation, his presentation is so precise and so firm and so logical. We didn't know why we were seizing him. Just because you say he was wrong. And notice that is exactly what they have stated. And you have not also been led astray, have you? If you begin to listen to Jesus and he's beginning to persuade you, then it's like the devil persuading you. Like the devil talking to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Go ahead and try it. Nothing wrong with it. So you see, they've stated their position. Jesus is wrong. Anybody who is now listening to Jesus is now therefore deemed as a traitor to the position. They are being led astray, whatever the case might be. Anybody have any thoughts you'd like to bring out on that idea? But I see this more and more happening all the time. We've lost the true idea of trying to prove a position. Now we are just trying to show the world is wrong if they disagree with my position. That's it all goes back to the idea I mentioned before, critical thinking. You want to think about what you're about ready to say. But we don't do that. We say the first thing that comes to our mind, whether it's good or evil or bad or whatever. One of the causes of the problem today, and people ask, well, what do you think is the cause? One of the people made the argument, it's the internet. A lot of it has to do with social media, because now you can state your opinion, and it can literally go to millions of people, and therefore that makes you a very important person because your opinion is stated. It makes no difference if you're logical or not. It's just that we have now this. We can have a worldwide audience. We're live streaming here right now. We can have a worldwide audience, and therefore get your position out there. No facts are needed. Yeah.
Jerry Huggins and I had a conversation on this one day, and he made the claim, he felt like we had lost our humanity. And I told him, I said, the thing is, when bad things happen, you see people's humanity, right? But going back to argument stuff, that I told him, I said, we've lost our humility. Okay? And it goes back to that idea, I have to be right. I.
Yes.
Okay? And that's what drives me. I remember to the point when, going back to my 20s, you could have civil discourse and a disagreement. Okay? And to your point, it was point, counterpoint. But now, if people don't agree with you, you're automatically a racist, a bigot, a hater, and all this stuff. And I don't see where it doesn't end well.
Yeah. There are several issues we can bring up here. The idea of a moral basis. Where is the moral basis for our society today? Have you ever stopped and thought about that? Can't say Christianity. It's not visible. Now, here's part of the problem. And it's been a problem ever since the beginning of time. That is the idea of people who say they follow God and aren't doing it. Now, what happens in this regard to the rest of the world? They see people claiming to be Christians, you know. You ask them, what are you religiously? Well, I guess I'm a Christian. You guess you're a Christian? Well, my parents are Christian. And since my parents are Christian, I guess I'm Christian too, right? Do you inherit Christianity? Do you inherit, by the way, Judaism? Do you inherit Buddhism? Do you inherit Islamism? Do you inherit those things? Are you born into a religion? This is something that we believe. Well, if you believe, then you have to have a basis for that belief. Okay, so what is the basis of most people's moral arguments today? Right? It's hard to see, and more we're being led away from taking a biblical stance. As soon as you quote the Bible, if you are a conservative, especially, if you're a liberal and you quote the Bible, oh, isn't that nice? They know a Bible verse. But if you're conservative, you have now crossed the line. You have become a religious zealot. You are a Christian bigot. You understand? You see how that works? No proof. It's just your position is different from mine. Therefore, you've got to be wrong. And even if you quote the Bible, well, you're just a radical Bible believer. I don't know. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what a radical Bible believer is. If you're saying I 100% trust what the Bible says, okay, then call me a radical. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. There is a moral standard that we have to have in our life. Find out what yours is. If it's popular opinion, then don't go with the Bible, because popular opinion is against what the Bible teaches. If it is some other religion, okay, then state that. But if your moral philosophy is based upon what the Bible teaches, then we've got to proclaim that, we've got to state that, we've got to live that to show the world what Christianity is all about. Not just, I think I'm a Christian. No, if you're a Christian, then there are proofs of that. By the way, doesn't the Bible talk about the fruit that you bear? That's the life that you live. That's your fruit. Okay, yeah, saw your hand there.
Yeah, you mentioned, are we born into religion? And I have to agree, yes. Well, it says 5% of people are.
Now, what's that now?
People are born into religion.
Yeah.
Because it's good enough dad, that's what
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
And if you're born into some religions, you're indoctrinated your whole life with it. So
Yeah.
that's how they become that.
Yeah, and by the way, there are so many issues that we can deal with here. Family puts pressure on you to follow their religion, right? If you go against the family religion, what is a family religion? How do you find a family religion? Would you? And again, here's the interesting thing. If you accept the fact that you are born into a religion, and that makes it okay, whatever your family believes, then that's okay. Then you've got to concede the point to every other religion. You've got to concede the point that if you were born into an atheistic family, that family's okay, because that's what their family teaches. If you believe that you are born into a religion, then you have to believe that all people born into Buddhism are okay, because that's their family religion. Would you agree to that? It's interesting. Nobody would agree to that. If you're born into my religion, then you're okay. If you're born into one of these other religions, well, then you better change. Where's the logic? Again, we don't use logic, we use feelings. Emotions. Bad source of beginning a critical argument is what I feel. What does feeling have to do with it? Feeling is so subjective. Why is it that some days you wake up and you feel like, boy, I can tackle the world, and other days you wake up and you say, let me go back to bed for another couple hours. What is the difference? It's my feeling. All right. And now we have to get rid of the feeling, and we have to go with the idea of logic. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? There are a lot of people that say, I have no reason to get out of bed. That's so sad. I have no reason to get out of bed today. There always ought to be a reason to get up. You get up to read your Bible. You get up to do some work, or go to work, go to your job. These are all things that I might not feel like doing, because feelings get in my way. Logic is what we have to follow. I need to get up for this reason, for that reason, whatever reason. I can't let feelings interfere with logic, with what has to be done. And too many times we're going by feelings anymore. There is no moral standard, because it goes with the flow, whatever people are thinking of each and every day. Here's an interesting thing, and you might not have thought about this before. Why are the pro-Palestinian marches increasing in number? Is it because of the logical stance they take? Why are they growing in number? Ed?
He was just jumping on the bandwagon.
What's that?
He was just jumping on the bandwagon.
Okay, number one, it's the popular thing to do today. And there's something else involved with that, and it usually deals with you. Now, I'm not complaining. I was young one time. But there's something about you. And what is it?
Impressionable.
Huh?
Impressionable.
Impressionable?
They're rebellious.
Huh?
They're rebellious.
Rebellion. Isn't it interesting? While we were young, some of you are still young, but bear with me here a moment. Whenever I was young, anything the adults had to say, I don't know what they're talking about, right? There was a phrase back in, this is 1960s. Don't trust anyone over 35. Don't trust anyone over 35. Has a ring to it, doesn't it? Old people, they get us into trouble. They get us into wars. They tell us to do things that we don't want to do. Why can't you just let me be? The word is free. We see that word crop up a lot in the news, don't we? Free. We just want freedom. Define freedom. Everybody says, well, there should be no laws. No, that's anarchy. That's chaos. You have no laws, you can't live. You cannot exist without laws. Try it. Say, every law were to be eradicated on the books right now. Every law. There is no law. Well, you better get back home and start defending your property, because somebody's going to come take your stuff. There are no laws. And by the way, on your way back to your house, you better be careful, because there are no street laws. There are no traffic laws. Stop signs mean nothing. Think you're going to get home safely? There are no laws. You have chaos. You have anarchy. Freedom implies that there are laws to regulate us. And God understood this. This is why he said that we are to pay taxes and pay homage to those who are in authority, the governments. Why? They help to prevent chaos. How do they do that? They make laws. But you say, as soon as you make a law, you take away my freedom. No. We are expressing the idea that everyone can be free, provided they are within a certain framework of morality. You take away the framework, no laws, chaos ensues. Crime increases. You see, you might have laws in the book, and if you don't prosecute the people that break the laws, because we're giving them their freedom back, we're going to have more freedom, right? Does it work that way? Has it ever worked that way? But you throw out logic and you get this emotion. We just need to free everybody. Take away the restraints, take away the jails, and let everybody go free and do what they want to do. And now you have chaos. Because everyone will do what they want to do. Laws mean something. Morality. You have a basis for morality. If you have a basis for morality, then you want laws. Why? To restrict you? No, to restrict evil people. Read what Romans 13 says. Laws are on the books, not because of good people. Laws are on the books so that we can restrict evil people. And if you don't restrict them, then why make a law? Why make a law? All right. Paul had more to say about that in, I think it was 2 Thessalonians too, or 2 Timothy, one of those. But it's very interesting here to see that there is a correlation between freedom and laws, provided that the laws are moral and just, and provided they are enforced, then you can have freedom. Because you know that the lawbreakers are going to be taken care of whenever they do break the law. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
I think with a lot of young people today, and sometimes it's not so much rebellion as it is just flat out mental laziness. It's easier to let someone else think for you.
Yes.
It's easier to let someone else do their version of research than it is for you to think for yourself, especially the Israeli-Palestinian issue. Do the research.
Yes.
Go back
Okay.
and find out what has led to this situation. It's easier for somebody else to do that for you.
Okay. Now, here's the problem with that. Where do most people go to get their information? You know, whenever I was in high school, you wanted information, what do you have to do? You had to go to the library, had to pull out books. Why? Because these things didn't exist. I couldn't type in a phrase and come up with an answer. Now, what is the answer? Whatever you think, all right? And you want, someone makes a statement, and you say, I never heard about that before. And you type in that phrase or specifics dealing with that particular thing, you're going to get an answer. What side are you going to be given? You see, your answer is controlled by whoever programs this machine. It doesn't have to be the truth. It can be 100% propaganda. But if I control the information, this is a wonderful tool. I'm not complaining. Well, I do, because I don't like telephone calls. I got along okay, with some 60 years without, well, it wasn't that long, but maybe 45 years without a phone that I had to carry with me at all times. I got along okay. Now, I'm finding myself relying more and more on this thing. And we have to be careful as to who programmed the information. Because you're going to get an answer. In regard to, you were talking about, let's say dealing with the Palestinian issue here. You can type in the Palestinian issue, and you'll get two totally opposite answers. Depending if you're just looking for the first piece of information you come up, now you are dependent on the programmer. And if he is a pro-Palestinian programmer, you're going to get all the arguments for the Palestinians or Hamas, however you want to look at it. However, if it was from an Israeli source, you're going to get pro-Israeli statements as to what is happening right now. So how do you find the truth? Yeah, I agree that we need to look for the truth. But whenever you have two totally opposite opinions, you have to really dig hard, and people do not want to do that. Ask the kids on the street. Again, this has been done recently, and it's not shocking to me. I expected it when I first saw it happening, but they're questioning these kids in these rallies and so on. Why are you here today? We are for the Palestinian movement. What does that mean? Israeli is an oppressor. They are an apartheid country. They are trying to create genocide among all the Palestinians. You hear the statements. Now you ask a few questions. Do you know why Israel is fighting this battle? Yes, because they want to eliminate all the Palestinians. Have you ever heard of October the 7th, whenever the Hamas invaded Israel? Did you hear about that? Well, they didn't really do that, did they? What? Where were you when the event was taking place? Where is your information coming from? My friends, internet, where's your information coming from? They don't know what happened on October the 7th. And so they don't begin their argument on October the 7th. What do? They go back in time, back far enough where it sounds like the Palestinians are fighting for their lives. You see, so we ignore October 7th, but we talk about what Israel is doing in Gaza right now, and we talk about what Israel did to Gaza 30 years ago, but we don't bring up October 7th. Then you're not getting all the information. All right, so, okay. But what we are talking about here is something that these soldiers confronted. They were told a story. This guy is out on the street. He is spreading lies and rumors and propaganda, and he is evil, and we want you to seize him and bring him before us. And they go out looking for this monster, because that's what the the Pharisees have created. Jesus is a monster. Remember the accusation? He's not speaking from God. He's speaking from Beelzebub. Ooh, bad man. So we've painted this picture of Jesus being this terrible person, and these soldiers are going out and to arrest this terrible person, and they get out there and they listen. They actually listen. And I say, doesn't have horns, doesn't have a pitchfork, doesn't have a red cape on. Sounds like, first of all, just a normal guy. Doesn't look, he doesn't wear sparkling clothes. He's not, he doesn't, he's not, I grew up in an era, and we have this little phrase, the good guys always wear the white hats. Right? You heard that expression, the cowboy. You see cowboys on TV. You got the guy with the white hat, and the guy with the black hat with maybe the silver band around it. Ooh, you can tell he's the bad guy, right? We paint pictures. Why do we do that? Because you have to know who the bad guy is, and we're going to paint this guy as bad, and you better believe it. Okay, so now you listen to the bad guy, and hey, he doesn't sound so bad. You actually listen, he's making more sense than the guys who sent me. Okay, if we seize him, you understand now they're sort of between a rock and a hard spot here. They listen to him. They like him. So he's not teaching anything bad. But at the very same time, we were told to come and seize him. If we seize him, what's going to happen? It might cause a riot. Because remember, we just had the discussion. Some people think he's the prophet. Some people think that he's the Messiah. Some people think that he's going to be the king of Israel. What are you going to do? Won't you defend the prophet? Won't you defend the Messiah? Won't you defend the king? We're liable to find ourselves with a mob coming down on us. Oh, yeah, there are some out here that say, no, he can't be the Christ. He can't be the prophet. But we have all sorts of arguments going on in the middle of the crowd. What are these soldiers going to do? They go back empty-handed. Where's he at? Well, we got to listening to him. You mean tell me he convinced you of how, even though he's so evil, didn't you hear us? Didn't you tell us? We told you he's wearing the black hat. We told you he's has the pitchfork and the horns coming out of his head just in disguise. We told you he's such an evil person. Why didn't you bring him back to us? Because we actually listened. We actually listened. You've been converted too. You are now just as bad as him. Notice they didn't ask any specific questions. What did he say that convinced you? You see, that would have been a good question. What did he say that convinced you that he wasn't evil? Instead, they just said, you're persuaded. You're just as evil. You see, you haven't changed your position because you don't want to. Jesus is bad. And anybody that says anything else is wrong. So it says here, one of the other things they said in verse 48, no one of the rulers or Pharisees has believed in him, has he? Now here's an interesting thing. The rulers or the Pharisees, they're trying to lump them all together as saying, we are all of the same opinion. All of the Pharisees and all the rulers. Who are all the rulers, by the way? Let's name a couple of the rulers that Jesus has come in contact with. How about Nicodemus? Who's Nicodemus? A ruler in the synagogue, in the Sanhedrin. Who is Joseph of Arimathea? A ruler in the synagogue. Has anybody in the leadership, been convinced of Jesus? Yeah, they have been. But to try to frame the argument in the majority, the majority haven't. I didn't say that. Have any believed? Yes, some have. Some have actually taken the time to listen and question. Nicodemus went to Jesus with questions, not accusations, questions. Nicodemus was convinced. All right. Nicodemus said to them, he who came to him before, being one of them, our law does not judge a man unless it first hears from him and knows what he is doing, does it? Now here's that Nicodemus we just mentioned. He's in this group that know that they sent these soldiers to arrest Jesus. And Nicodemus says, aren't we going to give him a fair trial? Aren't we going to listen to what he says before we condemn him? You understand the point. The condemnation has already taken place. We just need a fake trial to make it look good. Aren't you going to listen to him? Listen to what he says? These soldiers that we sent actually listened to him. We haven't listened to him. Are we going to listen to him? They answered and said to him, you are not also from Galilee, are you? By the way, that's a that's a shot at them, your intelligence. You know, we thought you guys were from Judea. Evidently, you're from Galilee. You're just as stupid as the rest of them. You see, that's, by the way, that's an emotional argument. That's name calling to try to show, to downplay people. By the way, that is a very important thing to learn. Those don't feel good coming our way. You're a racist. You're a bigot. You're a homophobe. Those are things we don't like to hear. First of all, are they true? If they're not true, then just let them go. Let them go. Because they called my Lord a servant of Beelzebub. Doesn't get much worse than that. And he just kept on going. We need to understand that we need to be doing the same thing. Okay, we're going to take a time out here. We're going to turn off the video. We'll pick it up in about another 15 minutes. Thank you for your time.